There once was a dream that was Rome, but a dream is all that it ever was. Their victory in the Punic Wars meant that Carthage rose to dominate the Mediterranean, but a millennia and a half later, their glory days are long in the past. To the northwest, however, a new power rises, which seeks to control the Celtic Isles and use them as a springboard for further conquest. Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated, and this is the Post Finem mod for EU4 featuring Big Ireland in this alternate timeline in which Carthage and not Rome rose to power. Ireland has unified and has taken over the Isle of Man and Dal Riada and parts of Scotland. And our next goal is going to be, well, our long-term goal will be to achieve dominance over the Celtic Isles, to drive out the Norse of Northern Vic, and to assert our dominance over the Brythonic Confederation. The problem, however, is that we are facing an uprising from the Gaelic League. So there's a number of major differences in this timeline. As you can imagine, Ireland, Celtica, is united under Moor Mayor Donal MacIntyre, and our heir, Mucka, has some fairly solid military skills and diplomatic skills. He's a far better ruler than his father, but he's quite young at the moment. Our government is basically a monarchy. What I want to take a look at is religion. We are Dovnoic, which is a druidic faith. So basically, in this timeline, Christianity has not spread very far, / hardly at all. Let's see if that's diplomatic. This is what I wanted. So we have the Punic faith, we have the Hellenic faith. Do we even have Christianity? I'm not too sure, but it's a much different religious background. So Dovnoic and Nemosic, these are both druidic faiths, but we're effectively hostile to each other. And one of the things that drew me to this mod was the absolutely massive mission tree for Ireland. Ireland gets fairly badly done in base EU4. And when I saw this, I thought, wow, that is amazing. Look at all these things you can do as Ireland. And then I found out you can scroll down. There is a ton of stuff to do, and we are effectively, for all intents and purposes, we're Britain. We're Great Britain. It asks the question, what if Ireland? So we have the ability to set up penal colonies in Australia, secure Zanzibar, establish Nua Celtica. We can scout Africa, Industrial Revolution. There is a ton of stuff. Where we're going to be starting is not sacrifices for the Morrigan, because we need 4 counties with livestock. We only have 2 at the moment. We're going to be starting across the top. The War of the Gaelic League. So this is going to pop off in a couple of years' time. If it doesn't before 1460, then this automatically ends. So that's basically the clans. The clans are going to cause some trouble for us. The loyal clans, however, we can try and rally them by getting to 100% of the force limit. We can stabilize the lordship. This is going to be one of the big ones. Get stability to at least 1, and get the opinion of all of our vassals in, effectively, England. Get that up to 100, and keep that liberty desire below 25%. That's going to be our immediate goal. So to help with that, I'm going to hand out some privileges. Now, one of the main issues that we have is we can't really hand out any crown land. We can hand out a tiny amount, but we then need to take it back, because if our crown land falls below 30%, then liberty desire increases, and we need to get that down. So we're going to try and get the loyalty of a few people up. Here we have the clans, and as you can see, there is strong Gaelic League already in place. The power of the Gaelic League, Cunra na Gaeilge, under the leadership of Douglas Hyde, the Irish language revival movement. The power of the Gaelic League has weakened the central authority in Celtica, in Big Ireland, and then we also have support for the Brythonic Confederation. So the Brythonic Confederation, this entire region is under our tributaries or vassals of ours, except for Trinovantes. And we need to basically deal with Trinovantes, and we have some missions that will allow us to do that. The Bards, so the Rianos are our religious class, the clans are our aristocratic class, the Bards are our mercantile class, and trade is dramatically different down here. In the Celtic Sea, we have a trade node instead of over here, and it's basically Ireland, England, and Wales. So a lot of this is under our control, and we're going to aim to further our control. We have a bit of trade power coming from that node and from over here as well. So I've given out a few privileges to the Reinos and one to the clans. It's predominantly the bards, however, that I've given a lot to expand trade efficiency and taken out some hefty loans. We are indebted to the bards, so they have given us a good chunk of money. We have now fallen below our low crown land, so there we can see Liberty Desire from Subject Development, plus 25. So we're going to seize some land right back. And summon a diet. So none of these are tremendous. This one would be fairly tough, I think, at the moment to try and get 25% or more trade power in the southern Norwegian Sea. We're going to be focusing predominantly here. Now, I do need to complete 2 agendas for the bards to get them on side. There's a mission that requires that. But we're also going to need to try and keep the loyalty of the clans up, and it's quite low at the moment, so I'm going to take this one to get to 30 prestige, and if I'm not in a position to do that, to get that finished, we do have the ability to call a diet and auto-complete that. Now, it's a hefty one straight off the bat, but I'm going to select a naval doctrine with all the money that we've got together, the free money that we'll never have to repay. I'm going to select a naval doctrine. We're going for Celtic High Seas for the naval maintenance modifier decrease, because we have a fairly solid navy that I'm actually going to start to expand. So here are our light ships. I'm going to give them a mission to protect trade in the Celtic Sea. Next is our rivals, the people who are rivaling us, predominantly Gaul and Northern Vic. We're going to rival them right back, and then we're going to start to deal with achieving that mission of getting 100 opinion with our vassals. So here is one of them. Brigantes, under the rule of Clement Burke. So in this timeline, the Norman invasion of Ireland still occurred. The de Burghs are wandering around the place. I think quite a lot of the names are random, like the Scots Gaelic MacIntyres ruling Celtica. So what we want to do is improve relations. We have, here's their vassal under the McSweeneys. So I'm not too sure if we actually have to get them up to 100. We'll go for Wales first of all, under the Gallaghers. And Cornwall is ruled by the Whelans, the Ufueloin. In this alternate timeline, a couple of names have been changed around the place. We've Dinglach Bay. County Clare has become Limerick, and Limerick has become Carbay. The North-South division of Thomond and Desmond still happened, and Ormond. Even though Christianity hasn't arisen, the Church of St. Dara, Kildara, is still in existence. There's Lower Éireann, Middle Ireland. So what we're going to do, of course, to try and save some money, we have a couple of forts around the place, one in Dublin, one over here in Dalriada, which I leave standing because we're going to go into some fairly heavy debt shortly. As adherents of the Dovnoic faith, we have the ability to pick a Dovnoic blessing. So we're going to take Blessing of Root and Stone. And basically we can select one for each holy site that we control. And we control Dublin. So basically that's the Hill of Tara, the ceremonial and burial site for millennia. So that would be up around there in the area that is Dublin in the game. And as we start up, we are told about a looming disaster. The Gaelic League uprising will fire in March of 1453. So some of the things that are causing that: Northern Vic exists. Skaldascar doesn't, which would be if Northern Vic controlled a majority of the Celtic Isles. And while we are threatened with a looming disaster, we can take a look at our military. We have a Welsh-sounding cavalry. Or we have the Nevrilta Irregulars, the irregulars, which have shock and offensive morale. I'm actually going to change over to them. And we have Celtic Scouts. So choice between Brythonic Riders and Celtic Scouts. We'll leave them as they are. Now we are being told that we have a mission fulfilled, that is the New Age of Warfare, and if I was to accept that right now, what it would do is it would give us 4 cannons and cripple my finances, so I won't be taking that anytime shortly. I'm not too sure if I want the cannons, or if I would rather, because there is a mission to get the naval force limit up to 100%, and there is another to get, where's that one gone to? To get the army, total army size to 100% of the force limit. So I could hire 2 units or recruit 2 units and then take that to get that one done, but we're going to leave that until closer to the rebellion firing. Now, with the money that we've gotten from the bards, what I've done is recruited some more light ships to contribute to maintaining trade here in the Celtic Sea. Brigantes is up to 116 in terms of improved relations. Nordenvik, you divils, building a spy network. What a shock. And they're also raiding the place. But as I was saying, Brigantes is up to 116. So we can withdraw them and start improving relations here. So this one is this might be confusing me. This one is a vassal of Brigantes, but then these 4 are tributaries of us, and Rathwin is a vassal of Trinovantes. And Trinovantes, as we can see, is allied with Gaul and these people. Interesting. I had been worried about Trinovantes allying with Gaul and with Nordenvik, so this is a very interesting scenario. What I'm going to do, now that we have 2 free diplomats, I'm going to try to form an alliance with Belgium, who are enemies of Trinovantes. And I'm also going to begin building a spy network. Yeah, and there we go. There's that alliance with Nordenvik. That changes things dramatically. So I think we have about 13k troops up here. I was thinking about possibly trying to build a navy that might be able to seal off this area here, stop Gaul coming across, deal with Trinovantes, maybe even have Belgium cause some problems for Gaul and for this region down here. But now there is a substantial alliance formed defending Trinovantes. And we're into a bit of trouble at the moment. The Gaelic League uprising has come forward to the 1st of February 1450, 3 years earlier, because we have a hefty fall in clan loyalty, and poor government policies are leading to either a loss of stability, which I don't think we can take. I'm going to take this 25% lower government reform progress instead, which I'm not delighted with, but I do want to try and keep up that stability. And because we're actually generating prestige so slowly, we're going to take the option to call a diet, which is going to increase clan loyalty and decrease our prestige, which is what we needed. We needed to put together 30. We're nowhere near that. So that might very well push back the uprising a bit, and it takes us out of losing money, I believe. So we've managed to get a spy network of 25 built in Trinovantes, so I'm going to stop building that spy network. And once our diplomat returns to us, we will head back to Brigantes, which has a... where's it gone to? They have... independence desire is quite high at the moment. There we go, 33%, so we need to get that down to 25. So we're not going to build a spy network, we're going to relations, improve. And the reason for that is once we have stabilized the lordship, getting the opinion of all of our tributaries up to 100 and liberty desire below 25, then we have a mission to get a spy network in Trinovantes up to 25, which we've just done. And we are now in a position to offer an alliance to Belgium, to Belgica. So hopefully that'll do something for us, but whether we're in a position to attack Trinovantes now, I am not so sure. Interestingly enough, however, we are in a position to offer an alliance to Tarvalia, who are also in an alliance with Trinovantes. So I wonder if we could actually pull them out of that scenario. At least I thought they were in an alliance with them. Has that fallen true? No, there it is. They're allied with them. They'll just about accept. We are told that Celtica has become one of the great powers of the world. Impressive. There's Celtica just barely scraping in 8th position. Will probably get dumped out of there. Goal is a good bit ahead of us. And at the very top is Ming in Macedonia, which would be the Byzantine Empire, way over here, in our timeline. So led by a Basilius. And there, of course, is what little is left of Roma, which heads the Italian Federation. Basically, this alternate version of the Holy Roman Empire. I've extended all of the loans that we got from the bards. We are in a position to seize more land. However, all estates will lose 20 loyalty, which would put them all into the rebellion zone. So we're just going to summon a diet. So the Rianos want base tax of at least 5 in Lower Erin, which we could achieve. The clans again want 30 prestige. I think I'll go with this one. It's a bit of a pity. The bards want base production of at least 5 in Leinster. Actually, hold on. What is Leinster? Oh, Leinster's just a single... It's just a single place. So I've been investing a lot of diplomatic power in Connacht to begin the process of deforestation. But these want production. So one more go and we should be fine. And there we go, we get 10 estate loyalty from the bards and 47 badly needed ducats. We have gotten Briganti's Liberty Desire down to 24.8, and there we go, stabilize the lordship. So we will gain a firm grasp over the Isles for 25 years. Liberty Desire will go down, and vassal manpower contribution will go up. A pity we don't have any vassals. We're now in a position to also complete Celtic Longbowmen. So we will gain additional army tradition and infantry fire. Do you know what? We might as well take it. Now I wonder if Trinovantes, if our spy network has dropped here a bit. It's actually completely disappeared. Fair play to them. So I should have probably been spending the unit that I had here, or the diplomat that I had here in Briganti's vassal. I should have probably sent them to get that spy network up and running, but hopefully it won't take too long. And because our spy network had collapsed, we did not see this coming. The death of Ricetus the Shield. He was one of the more respectable chiefs of the Brythonic Confederation that we had dealt with. His conciliatory and cowering approach to our people was greatly effective for us, allowing us to squeeze what we wanted out of the region without the boring spectacle of war. But now he is dead. So grand funeral is being held. We can either attend, which we most likely will do, or we can drop our opinion with Trinovantes. We will attend. Because now that they have established a substantial alliance, I don't necessarily know what our immediate approach to them is going to be. As a result of the death of Ricetus, our Moor Mayor, Donal McIntyre, has been communing with the underworld for days. And we have the ability to give him either +1 administrative power, or +1 to his administrative skill, I should say, to his diplomatic skill, or military power. Military power is fairly low, and he's probably going to be put in command of one of the 2 existing armies when the uprising breaks out. So do you know what? We'll take that. I've just increased base production in Lower Erin, which gives me 5 provinces that have lumber and base production of 10, and that means that we can now complete Emerald Isle and push towards deforestation, which would convert every wooded province in Celtica would effectively become grassland, giving us some increased benefits. Now we'd need to do that, we'd need 9 provinces of development over 12. I think we only have There's 6, there's 7, there's 8. So we only have 8 within our territory at the moment. But I will take Emerald Isle. So beginning of deforestation. So decreased construction cost and development cost in primary culture. So what I've been doing so far is basically spending administrative power and diplomatic power, getting that deforestation mission complete, and now the rest has been going into Cork, Leinster and Dublin. These two have cattle and this has copper. So I've managed to get a technology upgrade for military. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually stockpile at least diplomatic to get the marketplace. But military technology will put us on the route to Celtic swordsmen and Celtic axemen. But for this upgrade, we get military tactics and land morale is increased. And really you would want to keep up with military technology with Northern Vic bearing down on you. Our royal marriage with Belgium, with Belgica, just ended and they offered us a new one. And as a result of that, we have a new regent. Or at least if we were to pass away in the next couple of years before Mucka comes of age, Lithogena McIntyre would become the new ruler. So we've just added some forces. We've actually brought the army up to its max force limit, which means we've a couple of different things done. One of them is rally the loyal clans. So if we had given less than, or at least 4 privileges to the nobility, we would gain a general with 75 tradition. So let's see if there's anything that we might consider giving the Divils. I'm not utterly delighted with this one. Allow hereditary titles. National unrest would go down. National tax modifier would go up. I don't know if going below 30, however, is going to create problems for us. I think it's going to create problems anyway. I really want that general. We will give them the hereditary titles. This is probably a terrible idea. There we go. Because we've gone below 30, I wasn't sure it was a 30 or 25. So we're going to have to see some land. Actually, do you know what? It doesn't really make a difference. We're going to have that uprising anyway. So I will now take rally the clans. We will get that general. So Donald McIntyre has been made a general. He's not great. Bless him, he's not great. We will, however, give him command of the larger of the two armies and this vastly superior Cruhur Foiloin. Look at those for numbers. We'll put him in charge of the army that I've moved across to Dalriada. And while we're here, we might as well take the spy on Trinovantes now that it's been done. What it's going to do is it's going to give us an option, 25 years, to expand the lordship, causes belli against them, or permanent claims on all of the regions in Trinovantes. So we could either get this done in one go, or we will gain the permanent claims. Do you know what? We'll take those permanent claims. Now, the map shows that we need to conquer Brigantes and Rathwin, but the instructions are to conquer these regions here. That would be as part of crushing the Confederacy, but we're going to have to deal, first of all, with the looming disaster which is going to spring on us in December of this year. And now, because of that hit to the national tax modifier that we are suffering because of the low crown land, we are losing 134 per month. We can stomach that for a while. And hopefully, once we actually deal with the Celtic Confederacy, we'll be in a better position to sort out the loyalty of our various estates. And there we go. The news that traitors in Munster have risen against us. The Munster branch, the Keating branch of Conran na Gaeilge was always a bit of a rebellious one. So we've lost all 3 stability. And 7 noble regiments have risen up in Limerick and Desmond. Death to all traitors. So we've sent the army under Donald McIntyre in against Limerick. The Britons stir. Oh, those divils. So Trinovantes are at it again. They are trying to rally the other Brythonic tribes and stir up trouble within the lordship. we must take extra caution to ensure they don't spark an all-out uprising. So, a number of people, their opinion of us has dropped. None have gone to massively dangerous levels, but it's entirely possible that we're going to see some argy-bargy in this area shortly, now that we are preoccupied with what's going on in Munster. And there we go, we're seeing 7 noble regiments have risen up somewhere in Albion, I think. And we're also seeing that there's going to be liberty desire amongst all of our tributaries. Now, with our defeat of the rebels so far, the peasantry are beginning to row in behind the king. We could either get additional manpower. At the moment, we're not actually threatened with any more rebellions or any more forces rising up, so we're going to take the legitimacy. So at the moment, the rebels are 0% of the way towards enforcing their demands, and they're not actually generating any new forces as part of the rebellion. So I think if we can get to 1 stability, we might be able to put this down very, very quickly. And again, we are still considering what to do with the massive alliance that has been risen against us by Trinovantes. Belgica is considering coming into a war against Trinovantes on our side, but we've been trying to improve relations with Saxony, who are enemies, rivals of Gaul. So we might be able to bring them in on our side. It's only 10 administrative power, but I need it for that 1 stability, so we're going to lose some prestige, and we're going to offer an alliance to Saxony. Now, external to the Gaelic League uprising, we're seeing 7 noble regiments rise up in Carbay. And instead of spending the legitimacy, we're actually at our cap, we can't get more than 100, but instead of spending the legitimacy, we will clamp down on them. And Donegal o Galcavor, the ruler of Wales, has died. Mormaer Donal has become a bold fighter as he crushes those forces. I think he crushed those forces. No, he didn't. He became a bold fighter as he walks the length of England to deal with some rebels that have risen up in Wales following Donegal's death. And as Donal claims victory, we should be in a position to boost our stability. And there we go, defeat of the Gaelic League, victory for the Lord of the Isles, the Gaelic League's pathetic armies, and they truly were pathetic. They basically just got 1 uprising together. I think it was because I didn't take that Crown Land. If I had taken additional Crown Land to get rid of that penalty and stabilise our finances, I think we could have been facing a much, much longer war. And we now have to come to a conclusion. Either we bolster the other estates to ensure a balance of power within our country and give each of them representation to voice their concerns, or we should completely stamp out any influence of the nobility that remains and solidify the king's rule. So we can either go for the absolutist or the parliamentarian branching missions. The king is victorious. And so that has now unveiled the 3 branching missions in this tree. They could have been about establishing a Dol Celtic. Instead, we must purge the traitors, which we can do once the Gaelic League uprising is over. So what we now have to do is try to remove the privilege, strong Gaelic League, to purge the traitors. Then we can move on to Lord of the Isles. Total development must have grown by at least 500. And all provinces in the Celtica region must be owned by Celtica. So basically we are committing ourselves to a massive military endeavour and get absolutism to at least 80. If we are to become an enlightened autocracy. And to revoke the privilege, strong Gaelic League, we need to get our stability to 3 and keep our military power at 100. So there we go, the Gaelic League has been defeated, and Celtica has managed to stabilise its lordship over the Brythonic Confederation. However, there are substantial alliances standing against us. If we were to try to attack Nordenvik for control of Scotland, then they would be joined by Norway and Trinovantes. If we were to attack Trinovantes to break the back of the Brythonic Confederation, they would be joined by Nordenvik and Gaul, and our allies down here who would not join us. Gaul would be the easiest target to hit, but we don't really have a reason to do that. They are suffering a bit of a rebellion at the moment, so now might very well be a good time to go after Trinovantes, but we're trying to improve relations with Saxony so that they might join us. Celtica! What a web of intrigue it weaves. So this has been the Post Finem mod for EU4. I've had great fun playing as Celtica, but maybe if you would like to play in one of the Norse Viking regions, like Nordenvik, there is a major update coming out for them towards the end of October for a number of Viking powers. So Gaul had a big update a while back. I think the Slavic regions had an update there more recently. Celtica, its mission tree has been there since the start as far as I know. So a tremendous amount of work has already gone into the mod, and is going to continue going into the mod going forward. So I'll put a link to it below in the description. Do go and check it out. I've had great fun with Celtica and seeing the expanded, the massive mission tree that it gets. Do let me know what you think of my estate choices if you have any experience playing as Celtica or playing in Post Finem, what you think of my choices for estate privileges. Did I give out too many? Did I not give out enough? And if you would like to see me continue, do let me know below in the description. And what direction should I go next? Should I turn my eyes to the west and start heading out to colonize whatever is out here? Should we try and deal with Nordenvik? Should we deal with Trinovantes? There's a tremendous amount of work to be done. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode, and if you do return for the next one, bring some cattle. We need them for the Morrigan.